Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So today we're going to be looking at new polling data from Saturday and Sunday because I really do not want to cover the Monday polling data because that's going to be a whole nother video because there's a lot of information from those races. These I pretty much think I can generally cover in a pretty quick video about these two results from Saturday and Sunday. Typically I do them every day, but when we see data like this, which you can see on your screen right now, there's a lot of important Senate races in there, whereas some of these are not as important as the others, so these will be separated. Whenever there's a huge change in polling nationwide or just in states, I will cover those separately. I do not want to just label them as one generic title, mainly because a couple of these polls are pretty consistent and always showing the Democrats ahead, whereas these polls sometimes in these contested races showing Democrats ahead is out of the norm. So when we look at these polls here, they are expected in some Democratic states like Oregon, Minnesota, New Mexico. We're going to see data from that state. As for states like Maine and Colorado, another Democratic state, pretty much the only true data that's actually showing the race a little bit different than what I expected it to be is from the state of Montana. So we'll start off with Saturday, September 15th, because that was earlier on in the weekend. But New Mexico Senate race, Rich versus Heinrich versus Johnson. Gary Johnson actually now behind the Republican by a considerable amount, by 10%. That's pretty considerable to say the least. Martin Heinrich at 21, positive 21 in terms of the data, and even if you do add up the votes from Rich and Johnson, they still add up to 42. So Martin Heinrich still at one of his best positions so far, right now leading by 21% with 47% of the vote. Not the best, but obviously some Democrats are going to turn to Gary Johnson. Hillary Clinton did not get a majority in New Mexico compared to Obama in both 2008 and 2012. As for the New Mexico governor race, this is a race currently held by the GOP. This one is expected to go to the Democrats, and right now with a 7% lead, I wouldn't say it's too out of the question. As for the Maine 2nd District congressional race, Paula Quinn, I believe that's how you pronounce it, this is a New York Times poll, which I'm actually going to discuss in probably around a week or so in terms of some of these new House race polls from the New York Times. And again, I did cover this before, but for the Maine 2nd District, the Republican leads by 5%. So that's not the worst thing. This is a Republican district that many Democrats think they have a possibility of flipping. Right now with two candidates, both under 50%, anything can truly occur. But for right now, Maine 2nd District probably can move over into the lean GOP column. Leading up into 2018. As for the 6th district from the state of Colorado, this one I believe there's a Republican incumbent, if I'm not mistaken. I have no idea what just happened to my 270 map. Yes, the Republican incumbent is currently behind 11%, so it is very possible that a Democrat actually has a gain in the state of Colorado. Not too out of the question at this point, especially in a number of these close races that were decided by 1 to 2%. It isn't too unexpected to see a Democrat finally lead by double digits compared to where they should have if it was based off a presidential election result. For example, some of these California districts where Democrats Hillary Clinton won by double digits, and somehow these Republican candidates also won by double digits, are starting to become contested races. And for the ones that were won by 1 to 5% for the GOP, but Hillary Clinton blew out the Donald Trump in those districts, those races are starting to become even more safe for the Democratic Party. Pretty much we've done a run through the state of Saturday's a new state, 15 electoral votes, but we've gone through the day Saturday, September 15th. We can move over into Sunday, September 16th. So there's a little bit more data today, not today, but yesterday, I guess. And one comes from the state of Missouri. I believe there are 4 consecutive ties from the state of Missouri. Very interesting to say the least. This is going to be a very contested race. So right now, if you look at another race taken by CBS News, Montana Senate, Jon Tester leads by 2%. So that pretty much alters where I've had this map before. Montana was in the likely column, and now it could move over into the leaning column. But at this point in time, I'm still likely to put it in the likely column. I guess play on words there, but Jon Tester leading by a mere 2%, but still, I would still like to see more data from that state itself. But again, this is still a Democratic state. It's not showing any true signs of it becoming a red state. As for the state of Minnesota, governor's race there, again, another poll that just solidifies the Democrat winning there. Many people do contest this race. Many people think the GOP has a shot at it. Right now, Tim Walz, a representative from the 1st district, if I'm not mistaken, or 3rd district. Probably not the 3rd because the 3rd is held by the GOP. But the Minnesota governor race is probably going to go to the Democrats at the end of 2018. For the Oregon governor race, this race actually was a lot more contested before. There was at a point where the Republican led by 1%, going from Brown plus 17 down to a tie to Bueller plus 1%. It has now gone to Brown plus 10%, taken by a Republican source. So again, that may be an outlier poll, whatever, but the data is still pretty good for the Democrat at this point in time. It's not as close as many people thought it would be. So we've covered the governor race, the Senate races, and Now we can go over the Kansas 2nd District race. This one currently has a Republican incumbent. If we look here, I believe it is not Watkins, so this is an open race. Right now, the Democrat leads by 1%, so that may not seem too considerable, but keep in mind this is the state of Kansas. This is not some Democratic stronghold state. This is not a Democratic stronghold district. It's just a closer district than the rest, and the fact that the Democrat is leading is pretty considerable. As for the New Mexico 2nd District race there, the Republican leads by 7%, so that's also not the best news for the Democrats because I do think that they can target this race, but also it's not going to be super easy for them to win either, so they probably are going to focus their funds somewhere else. In the New Mexico 1st District race, the Democrat leads by 8%. This was also a district held by the Democratic Party, I believe. There is no incumbent, but it's rated as likely Democratic according to Real Clear Politics. As for this 2nd district, this one is rated as, let's see in just a second, a toss-up. So obviously a lot more closer races. But overall, these polls, some of these states are good for the Democrats, but keep in mind these are still Democratic states. Nothing truly new in terms of polling data, the same usual numbers that we might expect. The only true news is that Oregon has gone a little bit more to the left, and some of these House races, like the Kansas 2nd race or the New Mexico 2nd race, are having some interesting results, or the Colorado 6th District race. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all tomorrow.